dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the twilight.
I got love for you, no lie. I give my best, I try. Someday we'll touch the sky. You're an angel, little baby. Wipe all your tears away. I know it's been crazy, but keep your head up high.
Foot chase through the projects, dodging foreign objects. Street knowledge, I should've went to college. Odds stacked against me, surviving off instinct. 3 blocks from the precinct. Lil' homie caught a case, others lost family members. Product of his environment, projects produce violence in the middle of the streets, cause that's how we eat. Just I rap about the trap don't mean I ain't about peace.
We must stand together, all together.
This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the twilight.
We must stand together, all together as one. United we must stand together, fighting for each other till our race is done. United we must stand together. Under God we are one. We must fly to the sun every day. Fight for peace, not destroying our
My
dreams.
brother, my sister, I got love for you, no lie.
Welcome to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I'm your brother John, and who we got with us?
Well, let me keep it in the same vein. It's your nurse Shar.
It's
How
your-
y'all doing?
It's your nurse Shaw.
It's your nurse Shar.
Yeah, nurse
With
Shaw.
your brother John.
Yeah, and we want to welcome y'all to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, letting you know that this program is being brought to you as part of the New Image Project of the Community Development and Training Center, aka CDAT. And we'd like to thank y'all for tuning in and helping us to redefine what's cool, because smart is the new gangster. Nurse Shaw,
Hey,
what's good?
everything's good. I can complain, but I won't complain.
Yeah, that's called
'Cause
gratitude.
It is.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
very grateful.
Yeah,
You are the only person that can get me out on this beautiful Friday
thank you.
to relive a former past life of mine.
Yes. And I definitely appreciate that. For those who are tuning in, I am not Kiana.
Kiana owes me a drink. That's what she owed me.
Kiana working, man. So she's doing the what is it called? The Emancipation Day. And they're having like this family, like a FAMU, but I
Yeah.
guess it's FAMU Lee or something like that.
I think so. In
Yeah.
Atlanta.
In Brooksville.
Brooksville.
And so they're going to the spot where they actually read the Emancipation Proclamation in Florida. And so the date in Florida is May 20th, but
That's
you
the
know,
story.
in Texas, that's what, Juneteenth kind of originated out of Texas. I guess they were the last ones to find out. But in Florida, the date is May 20th. And so this weekend, they're acknowledging that, doing some history tours, actually going to, they didn't call it a plantation, but everything I seen when I looked at it, it
It's
looked
plantation-esque.
plantation-esque, 112 acres, a big
Plantation
house.
shaped.
Right, right. The big porch looked just like something out of Django. so yeah, that's what Kiana is. And so Nurse Shaw is our co-host. I ain't even saying a guest, because you're not a guest here.
I'm not.
Yeah, this
I've
is
been away for a while.
No,
I feel like
but
I've returned to guest status.
family do that.
Okay.
No, family go away from a while and they don't come back as guests, they come back as family.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Oh, my peeps are joining.
Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
dropped it in the group
In
chat.
the group chat. That's
Hey,
what's
boys.
up.
Good morning. Good morning, Sean, my BFF. Good
Hey,
morning,
Emily, what's good? Yeah, the Urban Airs. You got the
Urban Airs,
Urban
yes.
Airs in the building, y'all.
Yes,
And
that's
so
family.
it really is. It really is. So let's start with would you rather, right? Would you rather trade one bad habit for one good one, or double down on a really great habit?
Ooh.
Yeah. Let me see if I can put this in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, ooh.
Would you
That
rather
means like
you're going to replace one habit, one bad habit?
it's like adding an extra patty to your burger.
Okay, yeah.
Like a really good burger. Do you want an extra patty?
Yeah.
Or you just want another burger.
Okay, I see how you did that.
I don't even eat meat, but I'm just saying.
Okay, yeah.
So do I want to be like supercharged, like Super Mario on something?
Yeah.
Or do I want to be like
just swap
Mario
out
and Luigi? Like I can just
before they get the big up.
Right? right.
We used to call them grow bigs. That's before you get to grow big.
I think I would trade out one bad habit for one good habit.
Okay.
Right? Because I don't need that kind of negativity in my life.
I hear that.
Right?
Yeah. So y'all put it in the chat.
I could trade.
You can swap out. Yeah. Just swap out. Do the. Yeah. I think I'll do that too. Yeah. I mean, doubling down on a really great habit is not a bad idea, but
it depends on the habit, because too much can be too much.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah. That's true. Because
I'm thinking, okay, what if? I like to go work out, but I can always work out better.
Yeah.
I can always do better.
Okay.
But, now I'm around here looking like, Hercules. So maybe I'm just in the right timing of what I need to be doing. That. I don't need to double down anymore.
I hear that. And any opportunity to swap out a bad thing is usually a good thing, right?
Yeah. Try something new, create new habits, self-improvement, right?
Yeah, that's the basis for community development. That's how we see it.
In the words of JB, it's marathon mindset.
That's right. That's right. Shout out to New Era Thinking.
To JB.
It's a marathon mindset. It absolutely is. And for those who don't know who Nurse Shar is, would you mind introducing yourself to those who might be under a rock, or they tuning in for the first time and like, okay, well, who is Nurse Shar? Like,
hi, people. I am Nurse Shar. You can find me on the social. Well, you can find me on IG as Nurse Shar.
Okay.
I am not originally from the St. Petersburg community. But
what's your St. Pete story then?
Yeah, I've lived here for quite some. I moved here from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. We don't hold it against you either.
No, many moons ago. Listen, I prefer here.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Many moons ago, I met some great people. I moved away. I came back for like a period of time. I moved away again. But I've been back here solidly, consistently living here since 2011.
Okay.
And I love this community. I like to call myself a public health practitioner, public health advocate. I've been working in public health. We did the math this morning, and I've been working in public health for over 22 years.
Yeah. That's amazing. Congratulations on that. Yeah.
And through that, I met some amazing people. I've explored, communication. I did the radio circuit for a little while.
Shout out to Power Plug Radio and Entertainment.
St. Pete. Where my peeps at. Yeah. The day ones. And so, just making the circuit, curating events throughout the community during that time. I've kind of been, in the background right now supporting others.
Yeah.
But
that feels good, don't it?
It sure does. Yeah. Like I can understand, like when you see the big budget movies, I understand why Ryan want to be in the background.
Yes.
I understand why you just want to be the producer or the executive director or something like it feels nice in the back where you watch other people do well and you can support them and clap for them in the back and you don't have to, be on the center stage. But
yes. So thank you for showing up and being on center stage this morning.
Only for you, Brother John. Only for you.
On a Friday too.
Yeah, because I know I was like, all right, Brother John, I'm gonna chop it up with Brother John. We ain't had our coffee meetups in a while, so it's gonna be like our coffee meetup.
Yeah, let's do
Y'all
that.
don't know me and Brother John. We gotta meet up for coffee every now and then so we can decompress.
That's right. That's right. And and
talk about the state of what's going on.
It's like a therapy session.
It is much needed.
It really is. And just thinking about like the the St. Pete story. I'm trying to remember when did we meet because I can't place it. I just know
I feel like you've always just been there.
That's the same way.
I'm trying to think. That's hard.
But it was after 2011. I want to maybe
Definitely
was it around Silver Lake Stop the Violence things? I know we were doing some stuff there.
That
was 2011, 2012.
The introduction
because we started doing the STV 12. And I think we were doing like some Stop the Violence stuff. You were doing some events. I remember over at Silver Lake.
That could be.
Possibly, maybe.
Well, maybe
13, 14.
I think around 14, I was really kind of involved in that.
Okay, gotcha.
So 14.
Yeah.
14 on. Oh, man.
And like been grooving ever since.
Yes, locked in.
And I watched the work that you've done, like, just with bringing awareness to HIV and healthy living and my better living. Yeah. So it is always great to see the journey and the continuation, because a lot of people start in this race, but they don't continue for multiple reasons. Because I've had I'm finna get out of this and just go make a whole bunch of money and leave this stuff alone moments.
We've had these conversations, and honestly and truthfully, I realized something as I've gotten older about myself, and it spills over into the types of movies that I like to watch and just my everyday. I like social justice. I like justice. I like fairness. So that's why I always like the superhero movies where you get justice.
That's right.
Like the Avengers and where the good guy wins and justice prevails.
That's right.
I love that in shows. I love that in movies. I love that in life. And so I get really emotionally attached to when things don't seem fair or not right. And so I was like, well, that's just who I am.
Were you like that, like as a elementary school student, when they ask you what you want to be growing up? Like, what, I mean, not putting words to it, but just the energy and the spirit of wanting to, see things done properly and see people not mishandled.
I wanted to be an actress.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I wanted to be an actress.
Yeah. That's the thing that you ideate, but I'm talking about just in how you showed up, right?
And how I showed up. It was all in fairness. It was all in everybody getting equal. It was always, I never liked people being left out.
Yeah.
I was more likely to talk to, the kid in school that maybe had an accent or maybe didn't feel like they fit in, or, I gravitated to, I've always just wanted to make everybody feel comfortable, make sure everybody has
justice.
So I think I've always just been like that, even as a kid, standing up for the little person.
Yeah. That would have been me, because I was always the little person.
I've never liked bullies.
Yeah.
So I think, I gotta ask my mom that question. I gotta go back and how did I show up as a little kid?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I can remember, but she may have a different view of how she.
Of course, she wasn't.
One thing
she wasn't you.
Tell
right?
me,
yeah.
And I remember this to this day. And she told me, Charlene, you were never wrong about people. And she said to me, even from a young age, if I met somebody and I'm like, Mom, something's not. She was like, I was always.
Wow.
If it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't right. And I tilted my head. She was like, you were always right.
That's a blessing.
That is.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I don't know what I was right about, but okay, I'm glad you saw it.
When did you learn to trust it? Because sometimes you have that superpower, but you deny it.
Oh my God. Okay. So I feel like I'm in a real serious therapy
session. My bad.
Because I'm not going to lie to you. I am not going to lie to you. I was well into my 40s before I trusted it.
Yeah. So you always good at it, but
before I learned to trust my instincts.
And be like, you know what?
And things, and I was really fully lean in and say, even when it's in my head sound crazy and seem just off, but just leaning into that feeling.
Yeah.
I was in my 40s.
Wow. And you just got in your 40s.
Bless your heart.
I saw it on I seen the celebrations. I seen the celebration.
Wait, bless your heart.
I'm on the back end of 40.
I'm right behind you. I'm coming up.
Yeah. And it's a rough side sometimes, right?
Listen, but it was nice.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. As a 40-year-old Black woman, 40 plus.
Yeah.
I'm in my mid 40s now.
Yeah.
This side of it is nice. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't go back.
No, I know that's right. Yeah, and then what's the alternative? That people want to go back to like younger
High
days.
school? Oh God, no.
No, who would? Yeah,
Gosh.
you want to do that and know what you know. That's kind of the whole thing.
Right.
Like that.
Have you been around a middle schooler?
Ooh.
Oh God.
Ooh.
Have you been to a middle school? Have you smelled a middle school?
I have. Yeah. Now that I can absolutely bear witness to.
I have no desire.
Yeah. Yeah. Real talk. So you're listening to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club right here on 99 Jams, 99.1 FM. And we have Nurse Shaw in the building, my better living and wellness consultant. And she is our co-host for today. And we just kicking it. It's Freestyle Friday. So if it's something on your mind, put it in the chat or give us a call. Y'all know y'all can do that at any time. And you're welcome to join the conversation. So just knowing that, you know, you've been in public health 2 decades. And just, you know, the lay of the land, what would you say, you know, from when you started to, you know, where you are now, have been some of the biggest changes, challenges, or things that that we've had to face as a community, you know, just as it relates to public health?
So 2 things stand out to me, maybe 3. I will say at the top, and I think everybody in this community can understand this. When I first got into public health, even at the local level, one of the threats that we faced at the time was, and people don't think about this as being public health, but it is part of public health. And that was the threat of hurricanes.
Okay.
And when I first came in, they was like, oh, we haven't had a hurricane in diddly squat years. And you don't ever have to.
They were saying that last year.
And now,
yeah.
I want to say since 2017, we've seen just these increased severity in storms, the increased proximity to us here in Pinellas County,
right?
And just the increase in the damages, the recovery. Last year, I think the bottom really fell out. It really could have been worse.
Yeah.
But that was the worst that we have seen. And so that's something that in my 20 plus years of working in public health, I hadn't seen. That was one. Number 2 was COVID.
Yes.
So another thing, when I first came into public health, that was something that we talked about in public health for a long time. One was the threat of, you know, mass respiratory disease, just because when you're following one thing, like I don't think that people realize is viruses from the beginning of time have one job. Yeah. And that is to replicate and keep on living. Yeah. And they've gotten very, very good at it.
That's I think that's kind of in the code.
If you had one mission.
Yeah.
So we talk about doubling down on talent.
right.
And Super Mario.
You got one job. Just
viruses have one
grow.
Job.
Yeah.
To keep spreading. And they've gotten smarter. Yeah. And so that was the thing. We had this threat of, you know, just a respiratory illness. We always thought it was going to be the flu. Okay. When H1N1 came around in 2008, 2009, more so 2009. Okay. We thought that was going to be COVID. And so everybody was on
COVID, meaning
alert.
Just the global impact.
The global impact, shutting down, the mask.
Highly contagious.
This is what we planned for. So we thought H1N1 was going to be that thing. It was not that thing. Okay. To actually see that thing happen. Ooh. When it happened in COVID, it surprised, I think, many, because nobody, you know, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scene that you just don't have your finger on, because it's not like your bag, you know.
It's not what you do every day.
Happening, is things that's happening, and so I think those people were surprised. Us in our public health community, we weren't surprised at it happening. I think we were surprised that it's happening now. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's dust off this playbook that we've been working on for 20 years
because
and see if it applies.
Okay. See if we can actually use what we thought these scenarios would be. How did it play out? Was it were you as prepared as you thought you were, or what is?
I think that, and I can only speak for the local community. I think our local community is very resource rich. Yeah. And I think that we did well here in terms of our response, because we've been practicing and exercising. Did everything go perfectly? No, because there were things that we just did not plan for.
I remember the pop-up testing site that we did in a matter of weeks. It seems like not even.
Yeah.
It seemed like maybe days.
It was days.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
literally like, I think like.
And shout out to you for that. That was one of those things where it's like, you know, everybody's pushing testing, and we knowing that our community can't get testing or they couldn't move. And so we had this idea to bring the testing site to the people, and you so magnificently brought that first one over to Child's Park. You know, and then we began
but these
doing
are things we've been exercising for years.
Okay.
So that was the whole point. You exercise these things for years so that when the time comes. So those are the things that worked really well. Being able to set up quick vaccination sites, being able to, I mean, because the plans were all there, being able to do quick testing sites, being able to use like the mobile module where people use their cars, and we've been practicing that for years.
So that drive-through model, that wasn't okay.
Oh, we've been practicing that for years. So that's stuff that goes on behind the scenes that, you know, in the time of need can be quickly stood up. So those are the things I think went well. There were other things that, you know, I mean, because it's like moving people through a system, you know, like people are hard to move, you know. They're not widgets. They're actual people who have their own thoughts, their own, you know, ideas about things. And so sometimes trying to convince mass people to do one thing is hard.
Yeah, I hear that. Again, you listening to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, y'all. We got Nurse Shar, My Better Living and Wellness. And again, it's Freestyle Friday. So we just having a conversation talking about her experiences in healthcare, public health for over 2 decades. Man, that's amazing. And just thinking about, again, some of the work we did around HIV, HIV prevention. What were some of the highlights? And is that something that I know when we were doing the work together, a lot of the conversations was just around people thinking that it was, you know, old news. What are you seeing now as it relates to not just HIV, but other infectious diseases? Are people still being mindful? Like I remember we used to get the commercials and the talks in school about STDs and, you know, all of these different conversations. Are those still happening? And just what are you seeing from where you are?
I wish it was old news, because if it was old news, then we wouldn't see as many people being impacted by the disease still. It's different news. So, you know, when HIV first came out, we all know it was like, you know, a death sentence. You pretty much, if you found out somebody had HIV, you cried already. You know, the person might have still been walking. Now it's different. People are living longer. People are, you know, the medications have gotten more sophisticated. There's even prevention measures that people can take. Unfortunately, I think that it's like a catch-22 where more people are aware, less people are afraid because they're seeing people live healthily. They see people live long lives. They see people still continue to enjoy their activities of daily living. But at the same time, I think it sort of pegs it down as far as seriousness, right? And so if we're not constantly educating people on the risk, I kind of see it almost like and I don't like to equate the two, but I think that we're moving towards more of a looking at HIV as like a chronic illness and not necessarily as like this big bad mean infectious disease, even though it's still an infectious disease.
Chronic illness, infectious disease.
So like a chronic illness would be like diabetes, where people's like, you know, like I know diabetes runs in my family. You know, I've kind of settled into maybe one day I'll be a diabetic. I'm just going to keep living my life. It's in the back of my mind, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Right. And I feel like HIV is moving into that space. Where it's like,
it's possible. And if it happened, there's ways to get around it, but I'm not going over the top to try and avoid, you know,
both of which are 100% preventable in most cases. You know, diabetes, there are some biological things that could happen with certain things that shut down, that makes it, you know, like you could be doing everything possible, but your body just, you know, with HIV it's 100% preventable. And
I'm glad you really helped me with that delineation. JJ, what's good? Yubi, what's happening? Kiana is watching. Thank you.
Kiki, it's your fault.
So chronic illness and infectious diseases, and so the infectious disease side of it, that's where your STDs, is that where the
person to person COVID, communicable disease, meaning that you're actually catching it from somebody in a direct sort of fashion, whether it's through sexual contact, whether it's through airborne close proximity,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's through touching a surface that may have something, those are
Yeah.
communicable diseases,
Okay.
things that you pick up through commuting,
Yeah. Yeah.
talking, touching, exchanging bodily fluids,
Right.
chronic
Right.
diseases on the other end. It's not, so I can't give you diabetes.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Well, it depends on what's in that plate, right?
What's in the plate?
What's in the
I'm
plate?
cooking. So yeah, indirectly I could.
Yeah,
but
yeah. That's the conversation too. Is like when you say it run in your family, it might just be that family recipe.
And you know what, you brought up a good point, because this is something that I started saying, some years ago as well. Diabetes doesn't necessarily, the diabetes itself, yes, it runs in your family because you see a lot of people,
Yeah.
but it's more the habits that run in your family.
Yeah.
So you're right. The
recipes, your family culture. Yeah.
The habits.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a family that's athletic, that prioritizes health and wellness?
Okay, there we go.
These types of things. But those are things that we can break cycles on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So just because your family has a history of high blood pressure, or just because your family has a history of diabetes, doesn't mean that you are going to be a diabetic, or that you are going to. So we know enough about how these things work to where we can definitely do some prevention.
Right on. And just if y'all just tuned in, the would you rather is like right in line with that. So the would you rather for today, one of them is, would you rather trade one bad habit for one good one, or double down on a really great habit? So if you got a good habit, would you like to double down on it? Or if you like to replace one bad one with the good one? I landed with you on, let's swap them out.
Yeah. I'm swapping them out.
Yeah,
let's swap out. I'm trying to gain some rings like Thanos. Some good habit rings.
Yes.
I'm swapping them out.
Absolutely. And so just thinking about all things and the lay of the land in the world, knowing that it's Freestyle Friday, we had a segment called Trump Did What?
Oh, man.
Because every day he's doing something crazy.
That list is like 100.
It's a long list.
Y'all gonna be good for 4 years just off the last 100 days.
Oh my God. Yeah. Trump did what? And so one of the things that, again, knowing the industry that you're in and the impact, like seeing the cuts and the different, ways that he's showing up around public health.
Yeah.
What are you hearing maybe from your colleagues about some of the impacts of these things? Because I was on a call with the data analyst, and he's a contractor for the CDC. And it was like right when the cuts were happening and all of that stuff. And so they was asking, like, you good? He was like, well, I'm good. I'm a contractor, but I'm seeing, my colleagues, being cut, not knowing who the replacement will be. How do you navigate, when the person that you would go to for something like that whole position, the whole department has been eliminated. Right. And so being in like public health, what are you seeing as some of the impacts that somebody who may, be on the outside looking in may not be aware of?
So I think that I just want to say for the people who are listening that absolutely what happens at the federal level impacts what happens or the trickle down to our state and local levels and the work that gets done. And so I know that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I heard this argument the other day about people only focused on national news or federal news and not being focused on local. But I think that you have to be aware about what's happening on both levels.
Right.
As far as public health at a national level, at a federal level, people don't realize that even the things that we do in our small community can be attributed to assistance or direct funding that we get from the federal government.
Okay. Yeah.
And so a lot of our, infrastructure, we generate money in our state, but we don't generate that much money in our state because we don't even have state taxes
yet.
Like some other states have.
But this property tax thing.
But we do have property taxes. We do have sales taxes. We do have, federal taxes, and then those federal taxes, those monies get appropriated for each state to work on certain things.
Right.
There's different grants. There's, infrastructure bills. There's public health bills.
Yeah.
And so
these I saw one that was talking about it's a group out of Miami. I work with them. We actually brought them here. The Circle of Brotherhood. And they just lost $2 million of federal funding to do youth prevention.
Yep.
And they had like an 80% decrease in crime and youth violence in the area that they were working in. And they just got a notice. I think it was May 7th. They got the notice saying that their, $2 million in funding was going to be cut.
Yeah.
And so they have like mental health counselors and, social workers. All of them are in limbo right now because they don't have the funding. Just because
Absolutely.
it's in the letter that they got saying that it was just because the administration has other priorities right now.
And that's what it's being hinged on. But a lot, you brought up a great point. A lot of mental health services come through federal appropriation dollars.
Yeah.
A lot of environmental research, help, cleanup.
Look, we lost $6
through.
million in St. Pete.
Yeah.
Some of this air quality stuff. That
Air
we've been
quality
doing.
comes through, the federal. So, even circling back to public health, when we talk about WIC, food and nutrition for kids, when we talk about, being able to offer free testing, you may not notice, and a lot of people don't know, if you get tuberculosis, which there's a couple states that are going through, many outbreaks of tuberculosis and measles.
That was supposed to be old news too.
They're not old news. It's still circulating. Those people are treated for free.
Yeah.
And in some of those cases, like, TB treatment, it's like 9 months.
Wow.
Sometimes a year of treatment that is given to you for free because we've invested federally in making sure that the population stays healthy. So what I'm hearing from some people is that, with the recent reduction in force and the recent just release of a lot of employees, they're not really sure what the fallout's going to be.
Wow.
And so it's a two-pronged thing. It's the people that have been let go, and the work that they were doing that has come to a halt.
Right.
But also keeping an eye on what the budget is going to look like for next year.
Wow.
Because and it's coming out now. I personally have not watched the actual news since November. I've been traumatized.
Hold on. Let's stay right there for a minute.
I have not.
We're going to take a break. We got to take a break, and it's the top of the hour. So we're going to do some commercials for the radio, pay a few bills. And then on Facebook, y'all stay tuned. We'll be back about 6-7 minutes after the hour because we gotta pay these people. We got to pay the bills. So we'll be right back, y'all.
Also Thursday, President Trump asserted, quote, nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together, he said. Supreme Court justices heard oral arguments Thursday in a case stemming from Trump's now halted order to end birthright citizenship, which is guaranteed under the 14th Amendment. The Trump administration.
All right. And just like that, y'all, we are back. We want to welcome you back to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I'm your brother John with
Nurse Shaw.
Yeah. You see how that works? It's Freestyle Friday. Look, we the hip hop generation. Right? It's like double dutch. You jump right in.
Right.
And this program is being brought to you as part of the New Image Project of the Community Development and Training Center, aka CDAT. And we like to thank y'all for tuning in, helping us to redefine what's cool, because smart is the new gangster. And if you don't know, now you know. Nurse Shaw.
Yes.
Been in public health
Too long.
not too long. Not too long. 2 decades.
2 decades.
Over 2 decades. Over 2 decades. And so we're having a conversation about all things health. Not all things, but you were explaining to me the difference between the communicable diseases and infectious, what chronic illness and infectious diseases.
Yes, there you go.
Right.
There you go.
Chronic illness
Yes.
and infectious diseases, and just how, the lay of the land and what's happening right now. Yeah. Seeing, the changes that are being made, things that are happening in this administration. And I want to talk a little bit about your journey with, the My Better Living. Let me see. I actually had some questions for you that I want that I want to get into, because it was, I do. Yeah. The questions, I got like some real stuff, and I don't want to forget these, because you've done a lot, doing a lot, and I don't want to miss it. And so really just talk about the moment that I remember, the 3 Black vegan girls, right? And then we're also going to talk about the 2025 Natural Food Festival, right?
Yes.
The theme for the Natural Food Festival,
Roots of the New Harvest.
Roots of the New Harvest, Deuces Live Food Forest. And so if that ain't what y'all into, you're gonna be into it today, right?
Yes, get into it.
But just your personal journey, like in when I was on the website, it was like you had a aha moment for yourself, like you working with other people, helping them with their health, but then you had a moment like, okay, let me do something different
for myself.
Yeah. What was that about? Tell us about your journey.
So I was approaching 40. We've been talking a lot about age this morning.
Age is a beautiful thing.
It can be. It can
be. Add life to your years, not just years to your life.
I think in hindsight, it can be a beautiful thing. But when you're like approaching, certain things, you have this, you're always going to be apprehensive about something that you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So when I wasn't 40, I was like, I had a friend, her mom said, when you turn 40, everything goes downhill. So like, I've always remembered that. And I'm thinking at 40, my hip don't give out.
So
right?
no, 38, 39.
I was about 38.
That's
I was about 38.
Okay.
And I went to the doctor, and they was like, yo, you like borderline diabetic. What?
Ooh. Is that pre
that pre A1C creeping up?
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so in tune with that in this moment, like
right now. Yes. These are numbers that you need to know.
Yeah.
So little side note.
Yeah.
I feel like even as I know that we do this to our kids, they're fine. They don't need to go to the doctor. Please get your kids in the habit of at least once a year just going and getting a full checkup. That way they can get comfortable with the provider. Let them ask their own questions.
Right.
You need to build health literacy among your kids so that they don't get to 25, 30 and they at the doctor's office and they still asking you questions.
Yeah.
They still looking at you like, Mom, you gonna come? No.
I told you my story, right?
Yeah.
With the dentist. I told you my dentist story. Like I went to the dentist for the first time when I was in my mid 20s because I got a job that had insurance now.
Nice.
I got insurance. We got insurance.
Use your insurance.
No, we don't have
people.
insurance. We got insurance. We got insurance. And I went to the dentist for the first time, and I thought about it. I was like, so I called my mom. I was talking to her. I was like, Mama, why you never, took me to the dentist? I just went to and she was like, well, you never complained about your mouth hurting. Like that was a part of the culture. Like if there's no complaint, then you're not going. So to your point about the health culture, right? And health literacy. I like that because we talk about financial literacy and all of those things, but health literacy, being comfortable going into these spaces,
Yes.
having a relationship with your doctor,
with your provider,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, finding out what's comfortable for you, being able to express yourself, being able to ask questions without, you know, any fear of judgment.
Yeah.
I mean, they put on their pants just like you.
Right.
You know, they just spent a little bit more time in the library to
Mm.
be able to help you through some things. But so I went to my doctor and he was like, "You're pre-diabetic." And, you know, at the time I was challenged to do like a 30-day, you know, vegan challenge. Like,
Okay.
hey, no meat, no nothing. If it what was it? If you swims, crawls, flies, or have babies, don't eat it.
Don't eat it.
It was something crazy like that.
I heard it this way. Russell Simmons, I heard him say, if it had a mother.
If it had a mother,
Yeah.
don't eat it.
Don't eat it.
Don't
yeah.
eat it.
Yeah.
And 30 days, like, you know, 30 days of being strictly vegan.
Yeah. That's plant-based, right? That's
like, but at that point I wasn't even doing eggs. I wasn't doing, and now I will
because
say,
eggs have moms, right?
yeah,
Right.
but I will say I do eat the eggs now.
Yeah,
I like eggs.
Yeah.
In moderation, of course.
Sure.
But yes, I went from being like a vegan to I would consider myself more of a plant-based vegetarian.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
And that was like some years ago, but it was
The aha was like, okay.
the aha was like, I remember my grandmother, who was a diabetic, who every day had to check her blood sugar, every day had to give herself a shot.
Yeah.
And there were times when I helped her do that. And I was like, I don't want to be tied to this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my grandmother's fingers were calloused from
Just
pricking it so much every day, several times a day, to check her blood sugar before and after meals.
Oh man, yeah.
You know, really managing, like, that was a whole job, managing her blood sugar.
And the number that you get when you check your finger, what do they call that one?
That's just
Is that hemoglobin?
That's a blood glucose. So like your blood sugars at that time.
Okay.
It's more real time. So the A1C,
that's what I was
measuring the same thing, but it's measuring it over a 3-month period.
Okay.
So it's saying on average, how high were you running over this last 3 months?
Okay.
When you do the finger stick, that's like right now,
like
immediately.
How is it in this moment?
How did my food impact my blood sugar? So if I just ate, you know, and then like an hour later I check my blood sugar, you know, I want to see how much, because then people use that to determine how much they should cover with their insulin.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's more of a day-to-day thing. For somebody like me or you, where we're being monitored to make sure we don't get to that point.
Yeah.
We'll do like a A1C.
And okay, got it. Because I know, like, I'm learning about A1C again in real time and what the number is and should be and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. And didn't know the difference between.
You want to be under 6.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Under 6. And is 7 like pre?
7 is usually where they diagnose you.
What they'll say? Okay, you got to start.
Yeah.
Taking
I've
something.
Seen people that have been as high as 9.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
They full blown diabetic.
But you can, like, that's not, you don't have to stay there, right?
No, I was at back then, it's like what, 2018, I was at like a 6.5.
Okay. Got your attention.
Able to, bring it down to 5.5.
Yeah.
You know. And
what was some of the adjustments that you made? Of course, the diet.
The diet was a main thing. So a lot of people think that, okay, I'm going to lose weight, right? Because that's on everybody's mind, right? I want to lose weight. And
every year for the first 30 days of the year.
For the first 60 days, I want to lose weight. The first thing you think is, let me go to the gym.
Yeah.
And honestly and truthfully, it's 80-20.
Okay.
80% of your weight loss, 80% of your health and nutrition is going to come from that kitchen.
Right. Right.
And 20% of it is going to come from that gym.
Yeah, my trainer, Crutel, he said it like this. He said, well, you think about it this way. You work out 3 times a week, but you eat every day.
Yep.
Which one do you think is the most important?
Yeah.
Because I'm going hard and I'm wondering why I'm not getting results. And he's like, yeah, you in here 3 times a week, but you eating every single day.
Right.
So that 80-20, you know, it's like,
I mean, honestly and truthfully, if you want to just take it down, and this is for the ladies.
Okay.
Ladies, because for us, it's really hard for us to lose weight, especially after a certain age, because our hormones are all out of whack.
Okay.
We're not blessed with the testosterone and the metabolism of.
I'm biting my tongue because I had something came in my mind,
but we're not blessed. So, you know, we have to carry around extra storage. But it's all about calorie deficit, right?
Right.
You got to just burn more calories than you eat. And that's just at the bare, you know, and there's actually apps out there
Yeah.
where you can put your food in and you can say, okay, if I eat this donut,
I was trying that.
how much do I have to actually walk
in order
to walk?
Oh, okay.
How much do I actually have to walk in
So
order
that's
to
a different
burn
one.
off this donut?
Okay.
It's gonna be a lot.
It's a lot of walking. Yeah.
You might want to just avoid the donut.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because you
be
can't
walking all day.
You can't balance it out. Like, okay, because that's one of the tricks that we say. Okay, well, I'm going to eat this because I know I'm going to the gym later on, and this is kind of.
But are you going to burn off enough calories?
Yeah.
When you go to that gym
To get rid of that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So you want to find low calorie, nutrient dense foods, and couple that with burning of good calories. But you burn calories in different ways. You burn calories just by standing up. You burn calories just by walking to your car.
Okay.
So, those little things that they tell you. Walk up the stairs.
Yeah.
Park in the back of the parking lot. All those little incremental things help to increase your metabolism.
Right.
Burn off calories.
And just thinking about, again, the would you rather for today, if you didn't see it, would you rather replace a bad habit with a good one, or would you double down on a really great habit? Thinking about habits and just some of the mistakes that people make, what would you say are some of the biggest health mistakes or misconceptions that people have without realizing it? Like I just do it and it's unhealthy, but I don't really think about it.
I think that we buy into, and we have, we grew up in the era where I really do think that we were like the trial and error generation, because they try. You remember they used to have the chips with I forget what the Olestra or something in it, and it was like it prevented you from absorbing fat.
Okay, I remember that. I remember the hose.
Just ended up in the bathroom,
and then the trans fat.
Yeah,
like the different.
I think that one of the biggest downfalls is that we buy too much into these like diet products, right?
Okay.
And like the diet soda or the now they've created this one thing that has less sugar or less sodium or less whatever. So
0 grams of whatever. Yeah.
I was, when I really started kind of getting into this, one of the things that I was always told is to shop around the perimeter of your store.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Because that's where all your fresh foods, your fresh produce, your whole foods are going to be. Anything in the aisle is going to be full of preservatives.
Okay.
And just because it has the word diet on it, and just because it says low sodium, I mean, low sodium is good. So like if you're cooking something and you need chicken broth or vegetable broth and you get the low sodium, that's obviously better than, if you have issues with high blood pressure, that's obviously better.
Right.
But that doesn't then substitute, the whole foods, the good nutrition. So I think that's the other thing that I just learned something new the other day too, about, because this was another big trend, and probably still is, and that's like juicing. Yeah. That people juice, or they
doing juice fast. And,
but I was watching this nutritionist, and he was saying that juicing is really not good for you. You really should be eating the fruits whole.
Okay, yeah.
Because when you're juicing, all you're doing is releasing all of those sugars at one time. So all you're doing is spiking your insulin. So
it's like a concentrated.
It's a concentrated sugar bucket.
Okay.
As opposed to eating the fruit and then
with the fibers and everything, like the whole thing.
And then over time, the sugar gets released, so it doesn't spike your blood sugar.
I saw a woman just recently. It's interesting that you say that, because it's a connection to that. She was saying you want to eat it as close to its original state
source,
as possible. So like eat the broccoli, have it crunchy. Don't have it like floppy and mushy.
I love crunchy broccoli.
Me too. Minister Rasul used to say it like this: leave a little life in it.
Yeah.
Like don't cook all the life out of it.
That's why I like when the Asians cook the vegetables.
Okay.
Because they
leave the life.
Steam it, but they leave the life in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Even
the carrots.
Look, we cook it till it's dead.
Whip it up. Exactly.
I love that. So again, y'all listen to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club right here on 99 Gems. We have Nurse Shar, My Better Living and Wellness Consulting. And I want to talk about the Deuces Live Food Forest Inc. presents the 2025 Natural Food Festival, Roots of the New Harvest.
Yes.
And the date is October 25th, 2025.
Yes.
And I'm so excited about it, and I'll tell you why. Because when we did have our coffee earlier in the year, or maybe towards last year, I can't remember. Our last coffee we had, I say it like that.
When did you leave office?
January.
So I think it was in January.
Okay, so
It was
yeah,
right when you were
when I got out.
Yeah.
When your
When you
dog
did your
jumped,
bid.
did my bid and came back home.
You did your bid.
And I was coming home and just checking in with everybody. We had our check-in.
Yeah.
And we were talking about community service and just, like, and I was like, okay, well, what's up? What you doing? Where you at? And you was like, you know what? I think, and it was almost like in that moment, you was like, I think I want to bring back the Natural Food Festival.
Yep.
So when I saw it, I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
I heard it first.
Yes, you did. You did. You did hear it first.
I love that. I'm just so excited about it, and
Me
to see
too.
you, pulling it off, making it happen. So let's start with the basics. What inspired the creation of the Natural Food Festival, and how have you seen it grow over over the years? Yeah.
So back to when I started the 30-day vegan challenge, I actually recruited 2 of my friends.
Yep.
So that's how we formed the 3 Black Vegan Girls.
Yeah.
We were on this 30-day challenge and we wanted to see how it was going to go. And it kind of took off because we were like really discovering, some good info. Like we didn't just say, okay, we're going to do this. We actually started looking up recipes and sharing recipes, and
you have to in order to stay with it.
Yeah.
That's
and
true.
so we wanted to share that information, and we got a lot of buzz. The Weekly Challenger, I appreciate the Weekly Challenger. They did a nice piece on it. And so back then so this is before, the pandemic, we said, let's do a Natural Food Fest. And at the time, we just really wanted to share all the information that we had with people. We really wanted people to just kind of get into it.
Yeah.
Get into the idea of, eating differently and living your life differently. And that first one was on the Deuce's Corner.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit. And of course, everybody kind of went into hiding.
Yeah. Most people, we were like out there. See that was doing some amazing work. Shout out to See That.
Shout out to See That.
See That.
See That.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody was scared, and we were out giving out masks before they started funding the mask drives and all that stuff. Yeah.
That's the community that's about. When we brought it back in 2022, and I want to kind of give this history because I don't think that people realize.
Sure.
So there is a lot right across from the new Deuce's Corner Park that was designated by the St. Pete City Council some years ago. I want to say in like 2021.
Okay.
It was designated that they wanted that plot of land, which is city owned, to be a community garden.
Okay.
That's what they wanted to see in that spot. And
right.
So the Deuces Live organization actually took up that mantle.
Okay.
Because they're responsible for the whole corridor and making sure that they preserve, the history, the business, just the beauty of that area.
Right.
And so Deuce's Live organization took up the mantle of wanting to build this community garden.
Yeah.
And so My Better Living, Health and Wellness, and also the Bird Cares, we signed on as ambassadors. And so what we wanted to do was work behind the scenes to make this sort of happen. And so in 2022, there was a fence around the building, around the lot. The fence came down.
Yeah.
In 2022, we put up a sign that says, "Hey, home of your future Deuce's Live Food Forest."
Yep.
And from that time to this, it's completely changed. We actually have a forest-esque landscape because we brought in some people. And shout out to Norm Hoy.
Oh man, Norm is just phenomenal.
Can't say any of this without shouting out to Norm because Norm, he's ex-military.
Okay.
He's a retiree.
Yeah.
And he's so committed and passionate about, this project.
So for those who don't know, it's right on the
2180 9th Avenue South.
There we go.
There
right by Urban. Yeah.
Right by Urban.
Right by Urban. Yeah.
Right there across the street from the park, right there on 9th Avenue South, right on the Deuces. And so, and since then we have a forest, we have beds, we have tomatoes, we have collard greens, there's bok choy, there's herbs, there's basil, there's everything. And so what we've been doing is working with other community initiatives, community organizers, and we've been giving out some of our harvests to
Okay.
the different food pantries,
Nice,
so that
nice.
we've had people that have come and gotten harvest from us. So in 2023, we did the Natural Food Fest because we really just wanted to introduce people to the project.
So bringing it back after
So bringing
after
it back.
the COVID
Yeah.
break and all of that. Yeah.
So 2023 was like our first time, and then 2020. So that we didn't do it last year because we were still building a lot, and so now this year we've made tremendous progress over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And so we are bringing it back again
Mhm.
with the theme of Roots of the New Harvest, and we're shifting it because before it was like May-ish. But now it's October,
it's
harvest
a little
time.
cooler, yeah, and it's harvest time.
It's a lot cooler.
Yeah.
Lord knows, it's a lot cooler. But also, this year's theme is really about us getting back to basics.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. The theme is, what is it?
Roots of the New Harvest.
Roots of the New
so
Harvest.
Getting back to basics, getting back to there's a lot of books out there now, and I actually have one about using natural homeopathic remedies, using food as medicine in some ways, nutrition. So really getting back to the basics of how we use food, how we cook food, some of those cultural ancestral processes of how we did things. So
the healthy ones, because we got some unhealthy processes how we do. So
things that were kind of thrusted upon us, and we had to do those things.
There we go.
But honestly and truthfully,
like we didn't just wake up that way. We was making something out of nothing. Yeah, we were not. Yeah, but that's what was given. Hey. And so that whole taking lemons and making lemonade,
but we can do that with other things, because when I tell you, I've seen some of the most creative things that people have done with mushrooms.
Yes. Yeah.
We're talking about mushrooms that taste like oxtails.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So to the people who say, if you're going to eat mushrooms that taste like oxtails, why not have the oxtails?
Because the mushrooms are better.
Right. But I had to say that, because that's the whole thing. Well, you going to get the vegetable that tastes like chicken. Why not just eat chicken?
Yeah.
Because the vegetables are better.
Yeah.
Right? And you're worth it. Like, you deserve it. Like, you want the best. My better living, right?
Yes.
That's
your life.
Yeah.
Your better living.
Better. Like, you got good, better, and best.
Right.
And better is a good place to be.
I feel like we're always on the track for better.
Yeah. There's always room for that.
Yeah.
And so the organization behind it is Deuces Live Food Force, The Bird Cares, right? My Better Living, of course. This is a question for the audience, because I know about this. How did that collaboration come about?
The Bird Cares,
The Bird Cares, My Better Living, and the Deuces
Live.
That's like See That, Child's Park, and
yeah. I mean, it's all intertwined, right? And so, shout out to Chandra Allison, who was a friend of the Deuces. So if you don't know, if you're really interested in the work that's being done on the Deuces, you can sign up to be a friend of the Deuces.
Okay.
And you can help with organizing, and you can help with the different initiatives on the Deuces board. So she started off as that many years ago. And we've always just been connected, even through the work that we've done through On the Beat St. Pete, Plug Radio, my 3 Black vegan girls, the Bird Kids. We've always been connected to the Deuces and always utilized the Deuces for different event planning, for just making sure that we're in line with what's happening in the community, because that is a hub.
It is, absolutely.
So fast forward, Chandra Allison is now the board president. Of the Deuces. I
think I might have heard that one first too.
She was
the thinking about it. Should I do it?
No,
that's one of them blessings of being Brother John. That's a blessing of being Brother John. Like I see, I see a lot of this stuff in its infancy, and it's just. That's what keep me going. Like I just love to, like, we have these brainstorm, we ideate, and then we kind of come up with these strategies on how to make it happen.
Exactly.
And then when you watch it and you see it happen, like, that's the real joy of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like I enjoy that more than anything, to see how we go from an idea to an action. Like I remember
that's how I feel about the New Image Project.
Yeah.
So right. My mom had a sign for years in her yard.
The New Image Project and New Deal for St. Pete, and like a lot of these different things that we do is just amazing to watch it. And so again, those organizations, seeing how you work with them and then work through them. And now being in leadership in those spaces is just like phenomenal.
You're always going to find a common ground, right? You're always going to find those things that you connect with. And I think that's the one thing that I love about this community, and I'd like to see us do more in this community is let's do more finding where we are intertwined, where we intersect, where we link, and less of like where we're different. So like, if we link on this, let's stay linked on that, because then things will be good. And if we find that we link on another, thing, let's link on
and
that
then you
as
just
well.
strengthen those bonds.
And we strengthen those bonds. Maybe I might introduce you to somebody that you link with on another,
right,
so I think we need to, because so that's how we got here, you know, with the 3 organizations. And, yeah.
And then just thinking about like some of the misconceptions around healthy food. I remember back in the day they used to say, well, healthy food don't taste good.
It's boring.
Yeah.
Like, so,
or it's expensive. That's another one.
This is the number one thing that I still get it now.
Yeah.
And I have a disclaimer though. Before I tell you this, I have a disclaimer. If you have a vegetarian friend or a vegan friend and you invite them to your party, please have more than salad available for them.
Okay.
Stop playing with them.
Okay.
Stop playing with them people. Because I get all the time, like, you don't eat meat? Well, what do you eat? Everything but.
Yeah. Like there's a whole lot more to eat.
Whole lot of food. Hello. Okay.
Yeah.
So if any of you are watching me online, I am not a skinny mini.
Right.
I do have some meat on my bones.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because food still have calories.
That's right.
So if I don't eat beef, chicken, pork, or whatever else, fish or whatever it is, there's still a plethora of food. There's like a gazillion different beans.
So they're like, okay, we know you coming, so we got a bowl with some salad mixed.
Salad.
Yeah.
That's usually all they have for you. But I'm just like, okay, can we just do maybe a pasta salad without the ham?
Okay, yeah. Just make the same thing.
Out.
Just don't have the meat as an ingredient. Okay.
Yeah. You can just can we make just rice, red beans and rice, and not the dirty rice? You know what I'm saying? Have something for your people.
That's right.
Stop playing in their face.
I'm taking that.
So they got a salad and some dinner rolls.
That's your vegetarian option.
Listen, there's times when like I've literally eaten before I've gone somewhere.
Well,
like I've eaten before and I've gone to a baby shower because I know y'all finna have some meatballs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, like,
and even the healthy options, you spice them up by adding something that's unhealthy. Yeah, I hear that. And so, just thinking about again the 2025 Natural Food Festival, what can people expect when they come up? So, like, what does the day look like?
So we'll definitely have some vendors.
Okay.
Last time we had some wonderful vendors that had not only did they specialize in different types of vegan foods, we had people who were making like their own homemade jams, and we had people out there selling like teas and different types of homeopathic.
I think I had some mushrooms that taste like chicken wings.
Yeah, you probably did.
They was like a chicken wing
skewered or something.
It wasn't skewered. It was like bim. And you like I thought it was a chicken wing until I bit it. Yeah, but it wasn't bad. It was just like, oh, it's not chicken.
It played tricks on your mind.
It did. It did. But it went down good. It was good.
So definitely an opportunity to taste different foods.
Okay.
We're going to do some cooking demonstrations so people can learn how, different ways to do that. Definitely have some guest speakers.
Okay.
We have some guest speakers lined up to, talk about how we can do better with, monitoring chronic illness, how we can use medicine as food. We also have someone coming in talking about, food and our hair. That's really important.
Food and the hair.
Yeah, nutrition. A lot of people think that, their face is their face, but your face is also your scalp, right? Your face is also like your skin is your skin.
I see that.
The same nutrition that feeds you, or the same thing that you do to have for clear skin, is for good hair.
Yeah, because it grow from the inside out.
It's you. Yeah. You are what you eat.
So we putting stuff on top of it, but what are you putting in? Okay,
there you go.
But what's going into
what's going in? So cooking demonstration. We also have a wellness corner.
Okay.
And so last time we had like some screenings, and people were able to come in and get massages and do some consultations, like, acupuncture consultations. So there's a wellness corner. Of course, you'll be able to do tours of the food forest,
Right.
and see what we're working on, and what we have coming up. So there'll be some educational sessions. Last time we actually did, and I'm trying to bring this back again, is we did like a walk-in tour of the Deuces.
Okay.
With the Tradition School of Herbs and Medicine, I think it is.
Okay.
And they basically showed us, and I wanted to do it again because I feel like people would really enjoy this because I really enjoyed it.
Sure.
We did a walk-in tour where we looked at different things that were growing on the Deuces, and a lot of those things are edible.
Oh,
believe it or not.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
We're going to need to know that with what's happening in the world.
Yeah, what's edible
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it because people take their dogs for walks, but recognizing
yeah,
things in the
right on.
environment, that are edible that you could use for different things,
Yeah.
I think is a solid.
That was you talked earlier about the culture and how growing up and our experiences, like that was medicine.
Yeah.
So Big Mama, when you burn yourself, you go and get something out the aloe,
Yeah,
and
aloe,
you put that
yeah,
on there, and,
yeah.
and like the different uses for
Yeah.
the stuff that was outside. And now we just go get a bottle, or we go into a drugstore where they've taken the natural thing, put it into a bottle with some other stuff, and sell it to you, and all you need is the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have this. So my family's from the islands. My family's
Okay.
from St. Lucia. Shout out to all my Lucians.
This is Cara Festa Radio. They might be listening.
Yeah,
right?
shout out to all my island folks. But and every island has this, but it might be something different in it. But we call it bush tea.
Okay, St. Lucia.
Every island has a bush tea.
No, because I'm just thinking St. Lucia. The light bulb just went off. So
Yeah.
I see Brother Reza Islam.
Okay.
He has a supplement, and it has like 13 different things, and he talks about the source being St. Lucia. So
listen, a lot of sea moss comes from St. Lucia. So a lot of people, sea moss. My mom makes sea moss straws all the time for people. But yeah,
Bush tea,
every island has a bush tea.
Okay.
And depending on the island and depending on what it's for, there might be something different in the bush tea. But when I tell you the bush tea cures all.
Wow. Yeah.
The bush tea.
I love it. So we're going to ask Kiana, but we're going to ask Nurse Shar.
Okay.
All right.
Kiana, I'm replacing you today.
I hear that loud and clear. Loud and clear. So we have Nurse Shar with us again, and we're talking about all things health. And it's very important that we pay attention, y'all, because health is wealth, and all the money you get can't stop you, from can't preserve your life one day unless you invested in health, for sure. All right, so we're going to do Ask Kiana. The Ask Kiana question is being brought to you by the One Community Grocery Co-op, ocgc.coop. You can learn more about the work that's happening there. And so here's the question, and it's actually right in line with what we've been talking about this morning. How do I support a husband who won't take care of himself? So, Nurse Shar, my husband's health hasn't been the best, and his doctor recently told him he needs to change his diet and tighten up. For real this time, but he's not doing it. He keeps eating the same way, brushing it off as no big deal. I'm trying to encourage him, cook better meals, and be supportive, but honestly, it feels like he's given up on himself, and watching this is hard. How can I support someone who won't support themselves? I love him and don't want to nag, but I also don't want to sit back and lose him. What can I do?
Well, K. Michelle said it best. I might need to take the Nurse Shar hat off first and just be Charlene.
Okay, come on.
Because K. Michelle said it best. You
that.
can't raise a man, child.
Oh, wow.
But
yeah,
I'm going to put my Nurse Shar hat back on.
Okay.
This is what I'm talking about when I say we pass down bad habits.
Okay, yeah.
And a lot of people seem to think that addictive behavior is only reserved for drugs or alcohol.
Okay.
People have food addictions.
Okay.
And those things
That's a real
are
thing.
real.
Yeah.
People have certain addictions and habits that are real and that they cannot shake. And
social media.
Social media has become one.
Yeah.
I had
that dopamine release.
I have a friend who she was addicted to Coca-Cola. Like it would fix everything.
Yeah.
Like and that was her thing. A nice cold Coca-Cola. I gotta go get me a Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
you have like half-finished bottles of Coca-Cola every day. Seriously.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from this person is two things. One, I'm hearing that I love my husband.
Yeah.
I love my spouse. I want to see them do better. They're obviously struggling with something that they can't help themselves with. And
Okay.
I want to be able to help them. So as much as I want to be like, girl, leave that man where he stands. Like, I want to be real about it.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And honestly and truthfully, that can be a real struggle.
Yeah.
And so for me, my advice would be that maybe he needs to explore mental health counseling or therapy, because it could
to
be
address
just
whatever this underlying.
right.
Yeah.
Because so let's just put this into context. For someone like me, I'm just gonna use myself as an example.
Okay.
When I went to the doctor and the doctor told me you're borderline diabetic,
It clicked.
it clicked because I had in my memory images and experience of watching my grandmother sticking herself every single day. I remember what her fingers used to feel like.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember seeing her, and I remember her hating having to go through that. Like,
Right.
I remember it being the bane of her existence every day to have to do this.
Yeah.
But she knew she had to do it.
Okay.
And
now they're
that
telling
was
you that
enough
this is
to-
going to be
this is
your
gonna be
reality.
you
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
And it scared me to death.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not necessarily afraid of needles, but I also don't want to be sticking myself every day.
Yeah.
And then watching her go through that. So that for me was a motivating factor.
Okay.
I think for him, he needs to find out what that motivating factor is. Obviously, it wasn't
thinking
enough
that,
for the
yeah.
doctor to tell him
Mm.
that if he doesn't have any context for what that could mean, or that's like being afraid of a boogeyman that you ain't never gonna see.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's
Like the
going-
gooch.
Yeah. Remember the boogeyman?
Whoever seen the gooch,
I was
right?
afraid- I was-
Like you
you know?
wanted them to get the gooch, but you never saw the gooch. Yeah.
Never
yeah.
saw the gooch.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so you never see.
We're
the
talking about different
boogeyman.
strokes. Y'all might be too young to remember. Some of y'all.
Right. Like you just never know like what's going to, so it's like being afraid of this nebulous thing. But
Right.
honestly, he has more going on. Sometimes it's just some people take time to process things.
Okay.
And some others they live in denial. So clearly he's going through a grieving process. And
Okay.
I think that he's stuck in denial
Yeah.
about what's going on with himself. I don't know what their personal conversations are like.
Right.
I can be pretty convincing.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that maybe she needs to try being a little pretty convincing. Now, do I think that she needs to give him an ultimatum? And I don't know if it's that serious, but is that going to motivate him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, maybe, and I don't know if they have kids together.
Okay.
But so I remember when I first came into public health, and I used to do a job that nobody really likes, and that's telling people about their different status.
Okay, yeah.
HIV or
that was your entry?
that was my entry to public health. So imagine
Oh my
what that
God,
did for my
yeah.
dating life, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm going around telling all these people that they have HIV, and I'm a young buck, and I didn't date for a while. Let's just
Yeah, because like it's so
I'm like,
real.
It's so real.
Yeah. But but also just thinking about the mental health aspect, because in those early when you say that to somebody,
Exactly.
the reactions and how they fall apart, man. And
So
wow,
in
that's
order for
tough.
us to motivate them to tell us about maybe their partners, or because ultimately we
Okay.
want to stop the spread.
Okay.
Ultimately, we want people around you to get tested that you may have been in contact with. And there wasn't a lot of things that motivated people, because once they found out, like you said, the mental. But if we brought up kids,
Okay.
that seemed to motivate them. Like, there could be an unborn child at the end of this road,
Yeah.
or there could be somebody who could be possibly pregnant, like, who do you think, like, usually if we brought that up, like, hey, there
Make
could
it
be
not just about yourself.
right.
Yeah.
That seemed to be, and so like, I don't know in this situation if they have kids,
Right.
but you want to be there and you want to be healthy for your kids. You want to
I hear
be,
that.
you want to see them graduate. You want to see them. I can understand as a female how frustrating that is to watch your partner struggle through something
Yeah.
that you are not fully equipped to help them with.
Wow.
I mean, that's got to be pretty tough.
Yeah, on multiple levels.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. No.
And then you get stuck in this place where you're like, okay, this person's they're not holding up their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
Is it a deal breaker? And so you have to have like these conversations with yourself as well. This
Yeah.
is not an easy situation to be in.
Yeah, and then she said husband, so it's not boyfriend, baby daddy.
No.
Like you said a vow, you made a commitment,
Yeah.
and this is that richer, poorer stage, and poor. It's not always financial. It might be poor spirit, right?
Yes, poor health,
like poor commitment to doing better.
yeah.
And so being supportive. I like what you said, and a few things came up for me as you were talking about it. Finding your why, like his own why,
Yep.
because the why that, like what they say, you can't really make him do it. Like you can give him the meals and you can lead him to the water, but you can't make him drink and all of that kind of stuff. So finding that why, and then the double click on that is finding a why that's bigger than just you.
Yeah.
Because if you've given up on yourself, understanding that that's impacting those who you love and those who love you, and usually that'll flip a switch for people, you know what I'm saying, to be like, okay, I'm gonna do it for my mom, or I'm gonna do it for my somebody else, and that'll get you going until you get to the stage where you like, okay, I'm gonna do it for me. You know what I'm saying? So great advice. I appreciate that. And again, the Ask Kiana question is brought to you by One Community Grocery Co-op, ocgc.coop. And love great work, great stuff that's happening. Shout out to Erica and all the things. And y'all chime in, man. Put it in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking, what's on your mind. It is Freestyle Friday, and we talking about my better living, our better living.
Our better living.
I'm going to own that. I'm going to own our better living.
Our better living.
Ours, because it's easier when we do it together.
It is.
So I saw this article about the St. Pete Exodus, and I'm thinking you can appreciate this. So it says St. Pete's Black population shrinks for the 5th year in a row. Black population in St. Pete has declined for 5 straight years, according to the latest U.S. Census data released in December of 2024. Once ranked number 4 in Florida for African American population, St. Pete has now slipped to number 11, with over 7,500 Black residents leaving St. Pete since 2018. This is a 12% decline, dropping the population from 64,000 to about 56,500. Wow. And meanwhile, the non-Black population in St. Pete has grown by 5%. What are you seeing? Do you know people who left, or are you hearing the stories of the Black Exodus in St. Pete?
Listen, this only confirmed what I had already been thinking. Right, so I haven't been one that's been up on all the specific stats, but I'm not surprised by that, and they just confirm, for me, what I've imagined was happening. Anyway, so there's a lot of different things. I did like a, I wouldn't even call it a study, but a review of chronic illness in our community. And one of the big things that I found in that review and in that pursuit were the number of the housing costs that have gone up in this area. The number of different types of businesses that have moved into this area. There's a lot more tech businesses that have moved into this area.
So the job opportunities.
The landscape has changed in this area. If any of you drive on 275, there's always a crane in the sky.
That's what they said. The new city bird is a crane.
Is a crane. There's a crane in the sky. There's empty lots are becoming few and far between. We're building these housing. I don't necessarily think that they would be considered affordable housing. But the landscape is changing. The demographics are changing. I am not surprised at all.
Right.
But it's very interesting considering that, in Pinellas County, St. Pete was the most heavily populated area for African Americans here. So no, I'm not surprised at all.
And what you said is like spot on. And so there was like a survey that was done that was trying to really identify what are the top reasons for the exodus. And this was a 2024 survey. 87% of those who responded cited housing, housing affordability, and better options elsewhere as the reason for them. It's like, okay, I can't really afford to live here, or what I'm paying for the house here, I can go somewhere else and get more for my money. So that was one of the reasons. 78% said the job and career prospects are better in other areas. 46% named business opportunities. 39% mentioned education in schools. And then 29% each pointed to like social and leisure as well as dating and marriage prospects, meaning like it's just hard out here in these streets to try and find somebody.
Listen, I am.
So I'm going to find something else. Again, some of the freeform comments that came in as a part of the study was like, rent is ridiculous. Everything says luxury on it. And you see that. I saw a sign at on Central, and this was about 3 years ago, and they were advertising homes for $750,000.
Nope.
Right? $750,000. This was on First Avenue, like no water. That's my point. This on Central in the middle of the city, and you're gonna pay $750,000 for a townhome, and there's no water. There's no view of the water.
Did you all remember that the $1 million house across from Campbell Park? That was
I do. Now it's one in every neighborhood.
Now it's one. We have Debbie that says there aren't jobs that pay enough for us to live where we work in St. Petersburg. A perfect example is the traffic. People are driving from the surrounding counties where there is affordable housing.
Yes, I hear that. It's true, because I was like trying to figure out like where all of this traffic's coming from, but it's like
remember when it used to take you like 20 minutes to get to Clearwater? I feel
God.
like it used to take like 20 minutes to get to
No,
Clearwater.
I don't remember that. Maybe 20. Yeah, it might have been 20 minutes.
It didn't take as long
It
as
didn't take as long as it take now. Yeah, you're right. 20 minutes was
it didn't take
real.
that long to get to Clearwater.
It did not. Yeah,
it didn't.
It's true, and it's just because so many people are here now. And that's another part of this move and this shift is around like multi-modes and how do you move people, and how do we move from, using cars, and this whole car-free St. Pete movement is happening because of all of the traffic. But again, the transit system needs to improve, definitely.
You brought up something, I think this like a month or two ago.
Okay.
And the people in the comments were like, what? Where is this at? You brought up like average rent, right? I remember a post about average rent, and you said, I think the average rent is about $17.95. People like,
where that's at? Right.
Wait, where's that at? Because I'm paying $22, $24.
Exactly.
And, I thought about this the other day, and I've shared this with a couple people over the last couple days. So if you hear this and you are my close personal friend, yes, I'm still on this and I'm still talking about this. But I was just thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, wow. And I always come back to this post that you made about rent and seeing people saying, dang, where that at?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that people are paying in upwards of $2,000 plus a month for rent, right?
Yeah.
For rent.
Yeah.
Meaning I'm paying somebody else to live in their place and I'm paying $2,000 plus a month.
Right.
For years.
Yes.
Right. These are responsible adults.
Yeah.
That have kids in some situations that are paying $2,000 plus a month to live in a place to have a shelter.
Yeah.
Those same people couldn't go to the bank to get a loan to pay $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
So if you think I'm paying $2,000 a month for 4 years, what you mean? You don't think I can give you $1,500 a month for a house?
The
on
system
a loan?
is broken. Yeah.
They don't want us. They don't want anybody.
They don't want it.
Because this isn't even about color.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a class.
It's ain't about. It's a class thing.
Yeah.
Like, because there's no way on no earth that somebody can show responsibility for paying $2,000 a month.
Yeah, but can't qualify
for 4 plus years, 2+ years. But I can't qualify.
Yeah.
To pay you $700 less.
Right.
On time.
Come on, man. So listen,
the system is rigged.
It really is, and it's not rigged in our favor.
No.
And so time fleeting. We're almost at the end of the ride. It's been an amazing Freestyle Friday. We got Nurse Shar, My Better Living and Wellness. And so for those who may just be starting their journey, or considering like getting off the couch, like what would be something that you would give to somebody who's like considering making some adjustments to their health, or somebody who's just getting started making the adjustments to their health?
So, I would say there are probably 3 things I would suggest. Okay. And this is for every person.
Yeah.
And I would start your kids when you're younger. Once a month, go get your blood drawn.
Okay.
Not once a month, once a year.
I was about to say that sounds like a lot.
That is a lot.
Okay.
And most insurances won't pay for it more than once a year.
Yeah.
But once a year, pick your birthday if you want. Sometime around your birthday.
Okay.
Just to go and get your blood drawn. Because that's a great starting point.
I just took that because like me and my wife was having a conversation, and You just confirmed something that she said because
She was right.
Yeah,
I don't even know what she said, but she was right.
She always is.
Yeah, I don't even know why you playing.
But I mean, it's just man.
Once a year
I
around
feel
your
good.
birthday.
I feel real good.
That's fine. You're gonna feel even better once you know your inside.
But see, that I didn't tell you the rest of that dentist story though. Like I had never been to the dentist. And the first time I went, after that, that's when I started having problems with my teeth.
You needed a whole new car.
Exactly.
You needed a whole new car.
Like I was good, but I'm going to get this free cleaning with this insurance. And then after that, I started having like chipped tooth and
told him to put the parts back. I'm like, ain't trying to look at that.
I'm like, man, I should have just listened to my mama. I had no complaints.
You saved yourself a whole lot of headaches and pain on the back end.
So that's
on the front end.
So that's my trauma. My trauma is like I don't want to go and then end up like having like to have to start this whole journey.
Is not bliss, sir.
Yeah,
ignorance is not.
It's
bliss.
Not okay.
No,
you got to know.
No, ignorance is not.
So you can make the. Because I'm like, I'm just gonna ride it. Like I know my car.
No,
you know,
I know how much I can go on this tank of gas.
Somebody get in the car, like, we gonna get gas? No, we good.
We good. We got another.
I know my car. That's how I feel about this whole body of mine.
No, but your body will surprise you.
Yeah.
But I would suggest that if you haven't gone to get your blood drawn, go get your blood drawn because it's better to know the things that you can work on.
Right.
I also think you really need to be mindful about what is it that you want to see, right?
Okay.
A lot of people, a lot of it is surface level. Okay, well, I want to fit into this dress, or I want to fit into this, or I want to look good in that. That's all well and dandy.
Yeah.
But are you trying to make a superficial change, or are you trying to really make a lifestyle change? Like, what is your goal?
Yeah,
so I think you really need to be honest with yourself.
I hear that.
Is my goal to be healthy? Like, my goal was not to be a size 2. My goal was to stay off the diabetic medication.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's a lifestyle change.
That's a lifestyle change.
That's not a 30-day quick fix. I'll do this.
That is a forever lifestyle change. I don't want to be a diabetic. I don't want to be on the diabetic medication. I have to change my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then 3, I would say start small, right? Make incremental changes. Please do not change everything. Don't go on a crash course diet tomorrow. It's not sustainable.
Right.
You got to do things that's sustainable. Maybe switching things out little by little. I think that long term it'll stick more.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, once you start eating differently and you start choosing different options, I did not believe this. I read this before and I didn't believe it, but now I believe it because it actually happened. Your body actually starts to crave different foods.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was never a big fan of Brussels sprouts.
Okay.
But like after a while, I was like craving like I want some Brussels. You find your ways that you make it and cook it up, and like you're like, hey, I really could use some of those.
Wow.
And, in places I go, like they'll have them on the menu. They're fantastic. So yeah, your palate changes. Your palate changes anyway as you get older.
Yeah, I realize that.
There's certain things that when you were younger, and now you look back like, how did I even eat that? Like my brother.
Yeah,
my brother used to eat mayonnaise sandwiches.
Okay, I never.
And now
I never
he's like,
did
I? Yeah, you really used to eat that every night.
I heard you censor yourself.
Yeah, yeah. You really used to do that.
Right,
right. But yeah, your palate's gonna change as you get older.
Wow.
Be patient with yourself.
Oh, I just look. We over the time.
Oh no.
But we having a great conversation. It was wonderful.
Apologize, Don.
Thank you so much, Don J, for always giving grace. We appreciate that.
We appreciate you so much.
And so what we're gonna do is land this plane, but you know that you're always welcome to come back. But I know that you only got up early this morning for your brother John.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for you.
Kiki called me so nicely yesterday.
Yes.
Love you, Kiki.
And I'm just really want to give you some flowers, let you know how grateful I am to know you, to work with you, to do all of these things. And we're excited about it. So this has been the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. Up next is Sister Hughes, Make You Lose Your Shoes, and shout out around the house. And we'll see y'all on Monday. Believe and do good.